This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Yeah, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason Glick, what do you got on tap for us tonight?
Well, tonight is something that I was planning on talking about a while ago. It's like almost a year, in fact. And that would be the girl from the other side, Ciela Rune. And it's like it's a series that I thought was going to be wrapping up with its 11th volume, and well, it turned out that yeah, that was the case. Its main story did reach a proper ending with this volume. With that volume, it's like it also the final pages also indicated, oh, there's going to be a 12th volume. Like I'm talking about, like particular side stories from this series, and so I figured, oh well, okay, I'm going to I think I should probably wait and see, if like these side stories offer any like additional context to the ending that this series delivered. And so I waited and I waited, searched Amazon's listings, and then I realized, well, it's like it's been 8 months already. It's like they're they're certainly taking their time with something they advertised in like the it's like in volume 11. And then I also sat down and watched the 3 episode OVA series that was animated by Wit Studio, that served as a quasi adaptation of this, like, of the key parts of the series. And so I figured, yeah, you know what? It's like I'm not sure when they're gonna get like volume 12. So I might as well just go ahead and start rereading it now because I don't have anything else in the queue at the moment. And then before this podcast started, I said, well, you know what? Let's check Amazon, see what they say. And hey, turns out volume 12 is finally coming out a year after volume 11, like in November. So it's like, huh, great. I just kind of like screwed myself there because it's like way too late to actually do postpone things. So here we are. And so I will be talking about volume 12 at some point afterwards, kind of the same way that I talked about, Barakamon, volume 18 plus one. It's like after I did my podcast on like the first 18 volumes. But even then, like that volume was basically just, bonus extraneous material. It didn't really move the needle on my feelings for this series. So, you know, we'll see if that's the case for this 12th volume. But like here I am talking all about the series without actually delving into what it is. Well, the girl from the other side. It's a series about. It's like got this cute little girl named Shiva. She's like it's like this silver haired girl who's like about 6 years old, and she is just adorable. It's like living as she is in the wilderness, with only this weird, creepy, monstrous type guy looking over her. Well, but I say monstrous, but he's humanoid in the sense that he's got this human figure, but he's got like this like dark furred skin. It's like curved horns on the top, curvy horns on the top of his head. It's like and a it's a kind of head that's it's kind of like imposing and like somewhat monstrous in it's like an appearance. It's like and he goes by the name like teacher because that's kind of what he is. He's just basically helping Shiva, just like live her life, and that's how we're introduced to them. It's like he's just looking after her. It's like trying to be a good quasi parent. It's like, but also just like informing her over the ways of the world, such as the story of how things work in this world. Because there's basically two places in this world. There's the inside, which is like a walled like feudal castle environment that is occupied by like regular humans, and then there's the outside, which is like the world beyond, and that is like said to be inhabited by the outsiders. Like they are um strange, strange misshapen creatures. It's like who only exist to spread a curse. Because as we're told in the story, in like the creation myth that's mentioned in volume one, it's like the god of light banished the god of darkness to the outside, and the god of darkness was vengeful, and so like they basically created the outsiders that would spread its curse and turn all the insiders into outsiders if they were to touch them. And that's why we're told that's why teacher tells Shiva at the beginning of the story that he can't touch her because he doesn't want to spread this curse to her. Something that is like turned up on its head at the end of the first volume when another outsider comes to visit them and touches Shiva right on her face. Thing is, Shiva doesn't change. She, for whatever reason, she's immune to the curse, and that's implied. It's because it's like that she is a pure soul. Something that the other outsiders talk about. They don't refer to her as Shiva. They're like, oh, she is the soul, and like teachers kind of like, what are you talking about? She is a girl. It's like, what? Why are you going to this? And that's that kind of sets up like one of the big issues with this series like because the girl from the other side does kind of present itself as a puzzle box on kind of the story. It's like there's all this mystery about here. It's like like the origin, like you were wondering like where the outsiders come from. What is the nature of this curse? Why isn't Shiva being affected? It's like how did teacher get this way? Because teacher is like he seems much more human in his actions compared to the outsiders. I mean his font in the book is normal. Like while the font that the outsiders use is just like it's like a Comic Sans type thing. So you're wondering like what's going on here, and the thing is like I I got the feeling that that for all like the mystery that mangaka Nagabe presented, it's like the real focus of the series is just on the relationship that Shiva and the teacher have together. Because even though like they've got this like quasi like parent daughter relationship going, like they're not actually like related. It's like but and also like teachers like he's like he means well in a lot of ways, but he's also just kind of human despite maintaining the outward appearance of an outsider. It's like he'll lie to Shiva saying like, yeah, I think your auntie is coming to get you sometime soon. She's like, yay. He's like, why did I do this? Like I just want her to be happy. It's like that kind of thing. It's like, and also when like Shiva's aunt actually turns out to be a real character, and then but bad stuff happens because it turns out that Shiva's aunt is cursed because of her interactions with her. It's like with her niece. It's like she comes back to live with them, but not after some tragedy in the it's like in the inside. Because it's like the inside is kind of governed by a fear of it, people being like turned in like into outsiders. It's like, and even though like there's like a religious aspect to that angle, it's like like they're not entire that fear is not entirely unfounded, but at the same time, that there's got to be more stuff going on here. It's like, and then the series does kind of like just continue on, just like developing additional mysteries, such as why Shiva's aunt when she's turned into an outsider. Why does she turn into a tree? Why does the curse claim her faster than it's like than teacher? What, in fact, why does he not seem to be suffering into this curse to be turned into a tree as well? Well, it's like, there are answers here, but they're parceled out in, really it's like in really slow fashion. But that's not necessarily a problem because the core of the series, as I mentioned, is like the relationship between teacher and Shiva. And I think and Nagabe does a great job of like, sketching out their characters with like teacher is just like, prim, proper, like a guy who wants to like, do the best for his like for his charge, but has but it's like but he's also just, kind of governed by fear and has to like makes guesses in terms of like how to best respond to this girl's inquisitiveness. And Shiva, well, she's a proper like 6-year old, excitable about everything, curious about everything else, and also like it's like stubbornly like stubbornly angry when things like contradict her worldview. And it's like it and the thing is like she's properly adorable in that fact. Like she doesn't like I didn't get the feeling that like we are getting like choosing written as like a small adult. Like she is a properly adorable like little girl. It's like, and I think that adds a lot to her appeal. It's like, and makes a lot of what she does in this series, like understandable and excusable. But it's like, but as we go on, it's like like I said, there are mysteries here, and it's like, and as things go on, it's like you kind of like start wondering, like like when is like Nagabe going to start paying off on this, or if ever, because there's lots of them, like detours here, like like teacher and Shiva go to go like a far village to escape the like the soldiers that are coming to look for them, or when the soldiers who come to look for them like turn out to be very special soldiers who have been cursed. Kind of like what's going on with them there, or when it's like when teacher finds out from the it's like from the other outsiders that there is a way for you to save Shiva now that she's starting to succumb to the curse. You just got to get another soul, and so you got to, and so it's kind of like presented like, oh well, is he gonna actually kill someone? Yeah, let that let that for you to find out in the series. But the teacher also ends up giving up something special to like preserve his young charge, but at great cost to him, like to himself, only for the like the insiders to finally like come and kind of capture Shiva. Because the thing is, the uh, the insiders, like they've been receiving regular messages, revelations from God, or the God of Light specifically, and it's like, and they're it's like in their like head it's like in their head priest. Well, it's like he's basically told them that, okay, we've got to kill this girl in order to protect ourselves from the from the curse. And like, and they're like, and the king of the inside, well, he's got to be the one to do it initially, because he's the king. But the thing is, like, he's kind of like, he's he's infirm. He's kind of like he's basically told that his heart's like slowly giving out, and he's got to, it's like, and ultimately he can't do it. And that also kind of like leads him to, like, enter into a shadowy discourse with Shiva about what she knows, and that leads him to find out about more about what's going on in the world, and also like the true nature of the world as well. Because one of the things I was not expecting the series to deliver on, like, because it's been like really cryptic about like its world, like, and all, but it's like we actually do get to learn about more about the overall creation of this world, because in really interestingly, the like their head priest has continued to be continue to receive revelations from the God of Light. But the thing is, like, these revelations he's been receiving, it's like, are somewhat contradictory, and like confuse the overall mythology, like, that he's been led to believe, like, the world entails up to this point. But the thing is, he can't actually, like, get rid of these revelations, because then that would be to reject the word of God himself. That's kind of interesting, but and it also leads to it also makes for a good story-based reason as to why the king is able to come across them like later on, and it's like, and find out, just like the true nature of this world. Because, well, one of the other things about this series is that it's big on it's like moral ambiguity. Basically, it's like the outsiders aren't entirely bad, and the insiders, they're not entirely good either. I mean, you could have guessed that from the just in the way everyone's acted up to this point. But Nagabe really, it's like, wants to drive this point home. It's as the series goes on, because after, because we, as towards the end of the series, we learn a bit more about how teacher became an outsider, because he was human beforehand, but then he was cursed, and it's like, and then forced to live as an outsider. So you kind of wonder, just, well, what happened here? And, well, it's like, it's one thing for like for for teacher to become like a surrogate parent to Shiva, because you got the whole positive message. It's like that. We're different, but we can still, like, learn, learn to work together. But then you get the business when the like the creation myth is confused. Like, I mean, we just thought like, oh, God of darkness, bad. God of light, good. But then we find out that there's actually like a big conflict between them, and the like the con and it's not like and like the whole moral spectrum conflict between them isn't as bad or as clear cut as we were as we were meant to believe. And then it's like we learn all about how teacher became an outsider. And it seems like it's like Nagabe is just like really determined to just say, well, how far can you take things? It's like how it's like like yeah, it's like we understand like like the uh the bad guys aren't always the bad guys, the good guys aren't always good, but what Nagabe is asking us here, to believe in here, it's like kind of like almost feels like a bridge too far at certain points. Like it's like there's a Bloom County like storyline where Binkley was basically trying to get everyone in the county to just be like live a moral upsetting life without killing anything, like, just like going vegetarian, going vegan. And then oh my god, it's like we're killing so many people by so many bacteria by just breathing. And then he's informed that yeah, it's like moral moral absolutism, it's like is a is an impossibility in a complex world. And I honestly, and that's kind of like something I always think when I'm always reminded of when people just start hounding other people about just like when they've acted badly on the internet or when they've been found out about just about their awful nature. I mean, everyone's got their own like but can make their own moral judgment here, but at the same time we live in a world where it's like there's all sorts of complex compromises that we have to make just to live. I mean, how many bacteria have I killed just by doing this podcast? So like I'm reminded of that right there. And I'm also reminded of all things the Preacher TV series. Because let's get this straight. I mean, it's not any kind of replacement for the for the comics. But it's like I think that I was actually glad that I stuck it out through all of its problems through the fourth season, which is easily the strongest of the series. And it actually really did a good job of sticking the landing at the end. Mainly because like the guy they got to play God was did a really good job of of embodying the series point of view about of the character. It's like someone's like a needy, it's like devious like shit heel. It's like who's just like just wanted like everyone to love him. It's like it's like after everything he's done. But there's this one moment towards the end where Jesse is tempted by it's like by by some of God's angels to take God's place. And ultimately he refuses this. And later on it's like he comes face to face with God to talk to him about this. It's like she says, I've been like like a good servant. I tried like like establish your word. I rejected like that offer to take your place like at the host like at the host of heaven. And then God says, yeah, but you actually thought you actually wanted to, didn't you? And it's like that whole desire bit just kind of like it's like it I think that like, oh, so you're condemning him for the desire right there. And that's kind of like what I feel is kind of like what it one of the issues I have with the ending of or the climax of the series in volume 11. It's like it's not enough for teacher to just try and be a good parent for Shiva. No, it's like he basically has to like reject any like malice towards her when he finds out that oh wait, she's actually responsible for the way that she's that like the way that he is now. And it's like, man, it's like okay, I get what you're saying that you want this is like a series about tolerance and all, but at the same time it's like there's we're still human. There's only so much we can take here. And it's like And also, one of the things that the final volume asks to accept, or volume 11, I mean, is that Shiva, well, she's not actually been a real character up to this point. In fact, she's been something else. And I get the idea this is meant to tie into this like message of tolerance that Nagabe is presenting, but at the same time, you kind of wonder just how much are we meant to accept? I mean, is just I mean, are we like are we actually is the manga actually asking everyone to be saints in terms of like the forgiveness that's being that's being described here? And on one hand, it's like it's kind of like a gutsy, admirable thing that Nagabe is asking of their readership, but at the same time, I don't know. It's like there's got to be some compromise because, as I mentioned before, we live in a complex world, and this like the level of moral absolutism like that's on display here is it's a lot. I'm saying, and at the end, it's like there's a lot of ambiguity like in the final chapter in terms of just what's. I mean, like, it's meant to like offer us like a sense of hope in terms of what's going on here in terms of like teacher's relationship with Shiva, and also what the insiders are capable of like embracing as they move forward from here. And I was like, on one hand, it's like like I appreciate that kind of flexibility in terms of like leaving it up to us in terms of like what's it's like how we're meant to interpret the ending. That's cool and all, but at the same time, it's like this is like this is a series about tolerance that has a very strong central relationship between teacher and Shiva that I believe drove the series and drove my investment in the series like up to this point, like through, like reading it through the end of volume 11. In the end, it's like I really appreciate what Nagabe is like asking us here, but in the end, it's like I kind of there's this nagging feeling that like Nagabe is just like trying to ask too much of their readership at this point. So while I like the series, it's like I don't know. It's like it's kind of like a it's kind of like a conditional appreciation. Like it's something I appreciate with for it's like it's the message it's aspiring to tell us. Like rather than like how I should meant to like embrace it in real life and all. So there you go and all.
Well, um, an interesting review, very sure. Uh, yeah. So, you do recommend this one?
I think I'd recommend it. I mean, I think I wrote in my original review that this is something that would probably appeal to like fans of like the Ancient Magus's Bride, and well, I think that's definitely a series that's easier to appreciate, both in terms of its execution and its message. I think that they would probably do well to give this series a shot as well because it's like I said, it offers up a strong central relationship to like drive your interest through its run, and the Nagabe's art is definitely impressive. It's like in the sense that like, it's got this like great creepy storybook vibe to it, but it also manages to make Shiva a irrepressibly cute presence. It's like throughout the series as well, and also may give the anime a shot as well. It's a 3 episode OVA that that managed to like nail a lot of the central relationship that I liked about the series, even if doesn't like you know it it doesn't go into the full detail around like the complexity of this moral message that that's being delivered here, and it's like and it also goes like full art house in its final episode in terms of like what it's asking you to believe here. So it's I can't say you should watch it, but if you're looking for something that's really that's interesting and different from like mainstream anime, it's like I'd recommend that as well. And then it's only about like a little over an hour for all 3 episodes.
Well, there you go. What are you going to be talking about next time? Do you know?
Well, it's like I think next time is going to be about no one left to fight volume 2. So Myron is likely going to be back for that. Rob may not be, but someone else may be joining us that will also help me correct a significant oversight from this podcast I've been doing for the last 14 years now.
All right. And we'll talk to you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
Laters, everyone.